side. There we go.
Man, I have a lot of tabs. This stuff I wanted to talk about, but I didn't have time to add or anything. It was past Saturday, but there was one good one that's kind of related to the gun article. There's a company that's making guns that look like Legos.
Oh,
Really?
that's a brilliant idea.
I know, right? Wow.
That is, I mean, they're just asking for it.
Yeah, so let's check to see if we're on, by the way, because
we're live. No, I'm looking at us.
Awesome. What's up, everybody? We're about to get started at 8 o'clock. 7:59 right now. We're just in the pregame show, getting ready. Oh, I got Alan.
That's good. Yeah.
Baby Alan. Oh, he's like, welcome back, Felipe. Alan, I'm in the building too. This is my first show on camera, baby.
Case ain't camera shy anymore, he said.
I know, right?
Hey, Chris.
Chris, what's up, Chris?
Vámonos.
All right, yeah. Good. Got a lot to discuss this week. Got Cuba, we got Haiti, a lot of interesting stuff. I want to hear everybody's perspective too. Don't be shy.
Ellen said, good to see John ain't on the panel.
Oh, don't tell John. Don't tell John.
Clip it.
He said JK.
Nah, he meant it.
Yo, Alan might make a premiere on the show today. This is a surprise for everybody. I'm a surprise. Alan don't even know about this, but I'm gonna surprise y'all later in the show. Man. I saw something. I was like, yo, I'm gonna have to turn this into a meme, yo. Yeah. Actually, what time is it? It's 8 o'clock. All right, let's get the party started. Actually, before, I need to open up my chat. See the chats. Okay, good. Boom. All right, everybody, this is CaseStudyQB, and we about to get this party started right, and hopefully not twice.
We all know how that.
Yeah, welcome everybody. What's up, everybody? Izzy, you messing me up.
We're gonna see it again.
You messing me up. What's going on, everybody? This is CaseStudyQB, and we are the political junkies, back at it again. Welcome to the show. We got a lot to talk about. We got Cuba. We got, we were gone for 2 weeks, had a little hiatus, so we got a lot to talk about and to get down. But let me go around the horn to my peoples. Carlito, we got Izzy, we got Bendone, we got Felipe. All right, Carlito, how you doing, my man?
Yeah, man, doing good considering, I can't complain. There's people worse off, so I'm just happy to be alive, happy to have a job.
Yeah.
Happy to be relatively healthy. So
that's right. That's right.
Relatively, Izzy.
I was in your neck of the woods, but you didn't want to visit a brother, but it's all good. It's all right.
Bruh. I told you the lake story, man. That was freaking ridiculous.
Whatever. You could have came and chill, relax, and get some burgers, get some ribs. It's all good, though. It's all good. It's much love. I'm going to be back soon. Izzy, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. Good to see you, Case Study Cutie. Happy to see you finally make your facial debut on our show. You've been showing it on everyone else's show.
I know, we like sloppy dirt.
Oh, right? That's all right, though. I know, he's busy, producing the show. He doesn't want to show all the behind the scenes, but it's all right.
Just for Felipe, let Felipe know, because he's I don't think he know about the inside joke.
Oh, yeah. About the QT?
Yeah. When I went on
Case was showing his face on other shows, and apparently he's got quite a few. Quite a few fans out there. Let's just put it that way.
I appreciate the love.
Props, bro.
Appreciate the love.
Show and other shows, so good stuff for that. Also, just real quick, I wanna give a special shout out to our boy Gabe. Happy birthday, Gabe! He's out in Europe right now, enjoying it up.
Yeah.
And it is officially his birthday in Europe, so happy birthday, Gabe. We miss you.
Oh, damn, I thought he was there for work.
He turned 50.
Yeah.
He turned 50.
A little bit of play.
Jesus, 50. Bendone, what's going on, my man?
Same old, surviving, thriving. Happy to be able to say we won this weekend.
Yeah. Okay. You rubbing it into Carlito. Okay, that's all right. We got
the.
Go ahead.
He brought it up. Let me say something.
Go ahead. All right.
Our team is so far ahead they actually gave them like a map. They gave them like, this is Call of Duty talk. They gave them like the good side, everything, just because they wanted to practice. They wanted a challenge because they're so bored.
Sounds like Red Sox versus Yankees right now.
It's called a W.
Listen, the guy, he came back though to the show. He's been missed. He's been gone for a minute. The prodigal son has come back to the building. Felipe, what's up, baby boy?
Nothing at all. I've just been on that good old capitalist grind and working a lot and nothing else. Just mostly working.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that. Yeah, I know, Izzy, that's how I feel too, because we're going to talk about that. One of the articles talking about having a 4-day work week. So hopefully we could spread that love to America and get that going. But we'll talk about that later, right? So with that said and done, I really want to show something here. I want to get us started, but you know what? Let's get to the Carlitos rundown because I'm not ready for this clip to come up right now. I'm not ready yet. So, Carlito, you ready? All right.
So let's go with the first one.
Yeah.
Employees in Iceland started working 4 days a week. It didn't hurt productivity, researchers say, by Gabriela Miranda at USA Today. So for 4 years, researchers tracked 2,500 employees who reduced their work week to 35 to 36 hours, according to a study published by Autonomy, a progressive think tank based in the United Kingdom. Researchers found that work well-being dramatically increased across a range of indicators, from perceived stress and burnout to health and work-life balance. At the same time, productivity remained the same or improved for the majority of workplaces. The study said participants worked at various places such as hospitals, offices, play schools, and social service offices. So by the time the report's publication in June 21st, 86% of Iceland's working population are now on contracts that have either moved them to shorter working hours or give them the right to do so in the future, the study noted. These trials are therefore an incredible success story of working time reduction or interest to campaigners and workers worldwide. Unions, they did this. Why can't we, Izzy?
Because we are very union poor. They are very union rich in Europe, and we are very union poor, unfortunately. But I mean, it's just great to see what unions can accomplish when they really, when they have the ability to, right? And it just goes to show that you could reduce your work week, 4 hours a week, get 4-day work weeks and still not affect productivity. I mean, it's an amazing thing. If we really think about it, if we're all really being honest with ourselves, we probably waste about that much time a week anyway while doing our jobs, just because we're so over it. So, 4 hours a week reduction is really nothing. I mean, you probably spend that, well, I mean, at least when we were back in the office, we spend it, longer coffee breaks or going outside or, BSing with our coworkers. So, if you just take that and just, vow to be more productive, doing 9 hours a day instead of 8, you could have a 4-day work week and still be just as productive. There's no reason why we shouldn't trial this across the board.
The sad part is that if we do go to a 4-day work week, I wouldn't be surprised if conservatives try to take credit for it. Because I've actually heard a libertarian guy, I can't think of his name right now, but he has like a YouTube channel try to take credit for the weekend. We try to tell him like it's unions who gave us the weekend. He's like, oh no, this is capitalism. Like what?
Wow.
The logic of these people, man, I'm telling you.
Professional wrong people.
Yeah, CMT was asking how long is the work reducing this schedule? So yeah, working 4 9-hour days, make it about 36 hours, Fridays off or whatever day they choose. I don't know.
I have a concern with that system though. Obviously, if there's 4-day work weeks, that would more than likely mean 4-day like banking and finance cycles because banks don't run on the weekend. Would that extend to that Friday?
I mean, not necessarily, because you could have, shifts in schedule. Some people got Mondays off.
What banks don't work on the weekend?
Or if you go into a Bank of America and try to send a $10,000 wire transfer, you can't do that on a Saturday. Like you can, but you can't close on a house because you can't transfer wires that way.
See, that's your capitalist thinking. It's not, you got to open your third eye.
Yeah, man.
Like for example, at my wife's job,
use Bitcoin.
She is off every other Friday, but then her boss is off like every other Monday, and then somebody else is off on Wednesday, so they could break up their week.
Oh yeah, okay, you're right. that has no effect. Yeah, you're right.
They did say in the study that, you know, they were able to be more free with errands, you know, do things during the week that they wouldn't normally be able to do. Obviously, not just, you know, like things like banking and government activities, but just grocery shopping or, you know, whatever. So it would definitely free you up to run some of those errands that you wouldn't have normally had the time to do before.
All right, number 2. San Jose to require gun owners to carry liability insurance by the AP. San Jose officials passed the first law in the nation that requires gun owners to carry liability insurance and pay a fee to cover taxpayers' costs associated with gun violence. The new law was unanimously approved by the city council on Tuesday, a month after a disgruntled San Jose rail yard employee fatally shot 9 of his co-workers and then himself at the rail yard, the San Francisco Chronicle reported. The gun laws in the U.S., especially in red states, are ridiculous, but someone convinced me away from thinking this is ridiculous as well, because I think so. I don't know. Case?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, but I think it's better than what we have right now, where there's no sort of kind of protection if someone gets killed. How do the other person who gets killed, how does the family, you know, get any money for help with the funeral or anything like that? I think that this liability insurance, hopefully I think that it will help with that. If the gun would go and it do a mass shooting, is going to help all those people that got killed or got affected. That would be a good way. But a part of the article that was mentioned that I think is a interesting question is, how do they enforce it, right? When you have car insurance, cops will pull you over every so often. The first thing they check is to see if you have insurance. So that's how they enforce it that way. But most places, you don't have your gun on your holster, so cops are just not going to walk up to you and say, hey, can you show me your insurance for that? So I think that's an interesting question of, how do you enforce the insurance?
Yeah, so CMT says she agrees with you. Say, hell yes, if they have guns, they should have insurance. Now, I have a few concerns. The first concern is being like, if they have a fee, you know who is going to be paying for those fees. It's people that have money. So that means the poor people that can't afford protection, they can't afford to have their Second Amendment right. So that's possibly already unconstitutional if somebody wants to challenge it. The second thing is no liability insurance, but you can have civil lawsuits already. So it might not be necessary to have liability insurance for that.
In the article, it says specifically that the liability insurance is to cover the taxpayer cost associated with gun violence. So it's not necessarily to help the families, the victims of the gun violence. It's more so that taxpayers don't have to pay for like taking care of gun violence. That fee would be passed on to gun owners.
I don't see it. I mean, there's a overall harm to society, but what specific, I guess if you look at the law, maybe they have more specifics there as to why, but I just don't buy it. I don't see it as something. I see it as something that, I always, I'm gonna be a little, flip-floppy, because I don't like to go against like good things just because marketing wise is bad or whatever, because I don't care. But that's just gonna get right-wingers, Second Amendment nut jobs to be like, this is another excuse, another reason to go crazy over it, when I don't think it fixes anything.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right with that. It's loud noise for little fix. Like, it doesn't really do anything for a lot of effort that it will go into it.
You know what I got to say to that? Everybody check this out. This is what I got to say to that.
The bitch is gay, huh?
What? I got PJ needs some love. I saw that. I said, yo, I gotta clip that at some point. We gonna add that to the meme list, yo.
Oh,
go ahead, Carlito. Go ahead, Carlito.
That's crazy. All right, that took me by surprise over there.
That's what he get. Yo, Case, he was like, before, he was like, you're looking uncomfortable on your own show. So this is what he gets in return.
Yeah. There you go. He's sending PJ needs some love.
He says, stealing my content.
We're gonna have to
All
pay
right.
him.
So
Go ahead,
I don't know.
Carlito.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
I'm like, about it. So we'll keep it moving.
Yeah.
All right. Next story. Trump is so desperate for social media, he's suing Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. By Ryan Grenoble, a HuffPost. The former president said he's seeking potentially trillions of dollars in damages. Conservatives have long accused social media companies of pro-liberal bias, even as mounting evidence suggests the opposite is true. I mean, is anyone else other than me tired of, conservative snowflakes always playing the victim, or is it just me? I don't know. What's up, Felipe?
Oh my God, this is just another boo-hoo, wah wah. I'm so sad from Trump. Like, he's just clearly flailing. He has potentially the second biggest platform out of anyone else in the world. He is an ex-president of the United States who is beloved by mainstream media because he gets them buckets and buckets and boatloads of talk to anyone, whoever he wants at any point in time he wants, and get in front of the eyes of millions and millions of people. He just likes to cry and moan about the fact that he can't tweet anymore. And just that alone was like the last thing he had, because everything else is slowly being ripped away. Like the Stop the Steal is slowly getting ripped away. He's not president. The lawsuits are closing in on him. I don't know if we'll ever see a day where he's in jail, but it's so nice to not have to deal with his stuff, just his constant crap all the time.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, most of the people on the right side crying about it, they doing it from their platform, some Fox News or whatever, or what's her name, the Megan whatever, and The View crying about it when she has a popular talk show. I mean, they just snowflakes, man. The people that get hurt the most are, first of all, people on the left, people that don't have the clout, don't have large following. So it's freaking ridiculous, man. They're a bunch of snowflakes.
It's going to be interesting what happens with that case, right? Because this is no different than like Twitch banning the ASMR artist, for content. At the end of the day, they have rules, and all these social media companies have rules to be followed, and if you break them, it's
I mean, especially when these people are all about, oh no, capitalism and the market or whatever. Especially if you're a libertarian, you better not say nothing about this, because they're all about the corporations do whatever they want. The First Amendment is government restricting your freedom of speech, not corporations. So for these people whining about it is total hypocrisy.
Have you guys heard of, I saw this on Ryzen, not Ryzen, actually Breaking Points, that Sager and Crystal, they talked about, Jen Psaki said that they should have a system where if you're banned on one, you're like automatically banned from all social media. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, how would you even facilitate that? Because we know the majors are Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. But then there's still TikTok. There's still other social medias that's still on the come up. So like, how would that work? Are you talking about the top 5, or are you talking about all social media period? Like, if you're social media, do you need this stamp or a license, and then everyone with that license have to take off this particular person? If you get banned, like,
I think it was Idris Elba that was talking about that when you register for a social media platform, companies should tie it to your license to authenticate you, so that there's a way to track it back.
Hey, great. You know who did that? You know who did that?
Go ahead.
Parler.
Really? Really?
I did not know that.
So let's talk about this.
People are talking about that, right? Especially
let's talk about this.
I think a lot of that has stemmed from the racism that the England players came out of, and how all the people started to attack him. And he's like, well, how do you go again? And we know why, right? But you go from loving these guys to hating these guys in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be, if you want to have a social media that's like that, then that's fine. That could be your own business model. I don't think it should be mandatory for all social media.
I like that.
But, if you have a business model that is like this is social media that's going to narrow down, the number of trolls, because you have.
I actually, not to interrupt you on that, but I was actually doing a little bit of research a few weeks or days ago. And I thought I remembered something. It's not actually demonstrable that conservatives get banned more often or censored more often on social media than leftists or people. It's actually very hard to show that there's any bias at all, if not the bias is left leaning or against left leaning people. It's just this is made up, just a claim that is made up and perpetuated to the point that it's their new truth, and they have no way of fighting against truth.
Yeah, I mean, there's been studies that show that it's liberals that get banned more. So they really have no legs to stand on.
It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it's always, they go after the far right, like an Alex Jones, and then they say, okay, they make it this, after they normalize it by banning that far right person, then they start creeping over to the left and start getting rid of a bulk of the rest. So go ahead, Carlito. And then
no, but even the Jones guy, it took forever. It took lawsuits. It took a long time for him to be banned out of anywhere. Meanwhile, you have people on the left that get banned if they say something, iffy that's correct, but if it's not 100% like pro-Israel, boom, you're gone.
All right, so we got a no cow zone. I didn't prepare any no cow zones, but this is a good time to put a no cow zone on the table because I think Chris said I'm okay with that. And Chris, let me know if you're okay with like Alex Jones being banned, if that's what you're talking about. And
I think she's okay with IDs.
Oh, okay with IDs. So for everybody here, I want to ask you, are you okay with like Alex Jones getting banned from YouTube? Who here were okay with that? And who I'll go? Well, actually, I don't want to lead the witness.
I'll start first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. Oh my God, that guy is an idiot with such bad and dangerous takes. He went on and on for years and probably still believes that the Sandy Hook shooting was staged with child actors, and that the families were all compensated very highly for perpetuating this fake school shooting. This guy, and if you look at any of his background, he is the worst level grifter in that all he does is push his supplements and push his vitamins and push his pills and everything that are proven not to actually do anything.
Yeah, you're right.
Are more than likely just sugar pills or just full bad. Yeah.
That's what I heard about the same thing.
Grifting.
Yeah. All right. So Izzy, I saw Izzy put his thumbs up. Carlito, how you feel about that?
I mean, you know how I feel about it. I said it multiple times, man. Like the whole deplatforming thing is exaggerated by the right. I'm okay with somebody that's provably shown to be putting out this information, harmful things, and inciting violence. Kick him out.
Be doing. All right, so I'm going to go.
To me, it doesn't matter. I mean, nah. As long as people know who he is, then he's hiding behind a fake identity. Then I guess.
Yeah. So I'm against, and I don't know if I'm the one getting canceled or outvoted. Let me know in the chat how you guys feel. I see CMT said I want to be the one on the panel. I want to be on the panel for kicking people off like Alex Jones and his toxic BS. Yeah. So I think that as a principle, like freedom of speech, as long as you're not, shouting fire in the middle of a theater, right? And you want to be able to allow people to have a platform, and then you want other people to be able to talk about that person to kind of debunk them and have that conversation. Because if you're getting rid of people, right, and you're banning people like Alex Jones and Trump, you're open up the door to, like Carlito just said, who's deciding on who gets kicked off of these platforms, right? If I have a certain thought that's not popular and I'm on the left, and you guys know me, you know my intentions, but whoever is this person that's banning people, they're gonna kick me off. So that's what I'm worried about.
Between having an unpopular opinion and an unpopular thought and actively putting out false information that does endanger the safety of people. Not just, he doesn't have to yell fire, fire, fire for him to be endangering people. He could say the vaccines are a fraud, and that does endanger people. Look at what's happening in our country right now, where people are not getting vaccinated because of lunatics that are, on TV like Trump and people like Alex Jones. I don't know specifically what his take is on the vaccines, but obviously I don't think any of us would be surprised if he's out there spouting, misinformation about them. Then obviously inciting riots too. Like, this is the equivalent, the digital equivalent of yelling fire in a theater. And so it's not just about his opinions.
He was there at the January 6th riots. He was there doing a speech. I think it was paid for it too. So he definitely inciting there, and even before. And the thing is that these people, they do not stand by their convictions. So it's not like they have a real concern, because when it came to lawsuits, Alex Jones and also people like Tucker Carlson, they said like, nah, they just being like actors, they're just being for entertainment. They're not, and you shouldn't believe what they're saying.
No,
Like the people on
that's
Fox
exactly-
News said that because they were fighting a lawsuit against Tucker Carlson lying his butt off, and they were like, nah, man, you shouldn't take it seriously. Everybody knows, everybody that watches, they said everybody that watches knows that he's BSing.
Now I do agree with that.
No, and I wanna tag on.
All right, Felipe, and then I'm going to finish this no cow zone after you. Go ahead.
These people are knowingly being disingenuous to such an extent that they're causing mass anger, political change, and violence throughout the country as climaxed by January 6th. I think this is beyond just freedom of speech. This is just them grifting at the cost of at the cost of the country.
All right, so I like what Chris said, where she said he was so horrible that Sandy Hook's parents moved, right? Meaning that I think that if you have Alex Jones outright lying, because he was lying, he was trying to say that the Sandy Hook parents were lying and all this stuff, and he did get sued for that, and he got called out for it. I think that's how you can take action, because that's something that is just black and white, provable. That's kind of like the, you can't yell fire because people can look and see that there's no fire, right? And I think that's definitely there should be regulation to hold people accountable definitively, but I'm afraid that slippery slope for ideas.
I mean, what if I don't have the money to sue somebody? I can't sue Fox.
You can't sue Fox. Like if you're on YouTube, right, and you're Alex Jones saying like what Fox said something wrong. What's your example with Fox? What's your example, Carlito?
I mean,
everything Tucker Carlson has ever said.
Okay, so
yeah. So how about vaccines?
So you're saying you individually? Oh, okay. So I let me say this real quick. So let's say you are one. I don't want to say. Let's say somebody. I don't want to say you, but let's say there's a parent from Sandy Hook who their child died, unfortunately. You're trying to say that person won't be able to sue because maybe they don't have that much money.
I mean, if you're going against somebody with enough money, they could keep you in court for a long time, and you don't have the money to fight it. I mean, that's how corporations do it all the time,
Versus somebody like those election machine makers. I can't think of the name right now, but they're suing Fox and stuff, and they probably have enough money to do it.
Right, and that's why they have enough money to sue, and that's why people like Fox News and Newsmax and OAN, whenever somebody is there, like my pillow guy talking about the election fraud and releasing the Kraken, they put up either the report or the journal, whoever the person's there, or they put a note underneath saying like, there's no proof that the election was illegal, blah blah blah, because they've been sued and they don't want to pay for it. So they have been doing it all the time, but now that a company with a lot of money can sue them, like the voting machine companies, all of a sudden they put in disclaimers everywhere or automatically shutting people down, like cutting them off, cutting their mics off so they don't talk because they're afraid.
All right, so I'm gonna end this no cow zone by saying this. I'm thinking about once we make the People's Gauntlet like a social media site. Once we make, you're right, Felipe. What happened? He lost audio. Okay, yeah. So basically, once the People's Gauntlet, I'm thinking down the line is gonna become a site where people we're gonna have to build membership, right? And we were talking about before how having bots and all this stuff. I'm thinking of doing the what's the name of that app? The app where people can just talk and all you hear is talking audio.
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, thank you. Their model right now is you have to get invited by somebody who's already a member. And I'm thinking I'm going to do that model because it'll cut back on the trolls and all these bots, and you can't get invited unless you know somebody. So I'm going to slowly give out the memberships to people that I know and trust, and then to a lot of the media leaders, so like Kit Cabela, Katie Helper, all the people that have a kind of a relationship in the DMs, give them invitations, and then hopefully, I don't know how slow or how fast it's going to grow, but we need to build it up to like maybe 100,000, and then I'll feel good enough that we can start to vote on, because eventually we're going to be able to vote on progressives in certain districts. So let's say in one district there's like 3 different progressives, then we're going to have to vote on who's going to be the people's champion that we'll all consolidate behind. But anyway, let's keep it moving.
But don't say you need an OnlyFans.
Oh, OnlyFans, get out of here.
That's it. That's the membership right there.
Get out of here. No, to pay money? Nah. But Carlito, go ahead with the next article, my man.
The next story.
Yeah.
The NYPD published its Arsenal surveillance tech. Here's what we learned by Michael Sisitsky and Ben Schaefer at nyclu.org. Last year, New York City Council passed the Public Oversight or Surveillance Technology Act, POST Act, designed to shed light on the growing number of mass surveillance devices that NYPD uses to spy on New Yorkers. The law's mandate is simple. NYPD must disclose the technology tool it currently possesses, and going forward, tech that it plans to acquire, along with the policies that govern their use. What the NYPD produced in response was a vague and misleading attempt to continue to hide its efforts to snoop on the public. So, I mean, what did they learn? They got 20,000 CCTV cameras, stingrays to spy on cell phones, spotter to allegedly detect where gunshots came from, but they're used as an excuse to go into Black and brown neighborhoods and charge people with charges not related to gunshots. They even giving kids soda to get their fingerprints and put them in a database.
What?
And no information on what third parties the NYPD gives access to all of this. Only excuses. So does the NYPD have too much money, Badam?
Yo, get him a large popcorn. I have a lot of money. What's crazy, right? So running to the story, and
That's crazy.
Again, things that you don't consider growing up, and I know, at least for me, I don't think we ever did this, but they were talking about how, like, when they take you on a tour on the police station, you can get fingerprinted as part of the experience, but to some extent, there's also them trying to capture your fingerprints. The other thing too for kids that they said that they're seeing doing is having like gaming vans where they can come in and like register to play video games, and then again they start to collect data at such a young age. It's again, you think, oh, they're doing something nice, but then there's always now this with this whole post is like, okay, well, is it them trying to be nice, or is it them trying to you know start to build that digital profile of you at a very, very young age?
Yeah, we know the answer to that.
All I gotta say real quick is that reminds me of, I think it's the Illinois governor who's recently signed a bill into law that states that the police cannot lie to minors to cause them to like incriminate themselves. And I'm thinking, like, we got to make that a law? Like, what the heck is going on? Like, it's so sad because apparently, like, they would, especially, we all know about the Exonerated Five and how that whole situation. I can't even watch the documentary on Netflix.
I didn't even watch that.
I still can't watch it, don't want to watch it, because my feelings will I'll get so depressed. But anyway, I don't even know what kind of monster you got to be. You're grown a man talking to like an 8-year-old, and we know there's studies that show, unfortunately, that people look at minorities and you can add like 5 years to it. So like, let's say they see an 8-year-old, but they see him as like a 15-year-old, unfortunately. And the same thing for minority women as well. But to be able to lie to them, and you know in your mind your goal is to get them convicted to go to jail, and people have falsely incriminated themselves, or not even incriminated themselves, but like agreed to go along with the conviction just to get out of that pressured situation, and then they end up in jail for God knows how many years.
Yeah, but let me tell you.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you what kind of person you need to be, and this is kind of no calzone-ish, because I've been trying to always give people benefit of the doubt and kind of stuff like that. You got to be a conservative. You got to be Republican. That's it. That's the kind of people that do it. Because even the Supreme Court, conservative Supreme Court mostly, but even if the liberal Supreme Court, they are kind of moderate to conservative themselves, especially when it comes to corporations. They said that it's okay for the cops to lie. So this law that you're talking about, if somebody fights it, if it goes to Supreme Court, it's going to go down.
Yeah. Not only that, Colito, but there's I think the Supreme Court allowed for cops to not even know the law. So there's many times that you say you could be a regular person. You say, "Hey, can I see your badge?" They might say, "No, you don't need to see my badge." Like, no, that's the law. You got. If I ask for your badge, you got to give it to me. But that's a situation that they don't. Matter of fact, they get more hostile if you ask for their badge number a lot of times. So it's just crazy.
Or they play Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah. Heard about that too. All right. Are we in between stories, Carlito?
We done. But
done?
you know, this is a story by popular request. You know, Alan wanted to talk about the Freedom Phone.
All right,
it wasn't on the list.
Let me show this real quick, Carlito. Before this is just for our guy Bidon, who wanted me to show this meme. My parents telling me not to believe everything I see on TV, and this is 2008 and then 2021. Me telling my parents not to believe everything I see online. That's for Bidon, but go ahead, Carlito.
Oh my God. Nah, it's for real with the old people on Facebook, man. Jesus. But anyway, yeah, we have fun. I know I have fun when Neat put on the chat and Discord. Join Discord, by the way. Like, subscribe to the channel, but also join Discord. He put on put us onto the story about the Freedom Phone. And if you don't know, it's like this, you know, conservative. I mean, I don't even know if he's conservative. I think he's just trying to make some money, honestly. It's a phone that's supposed to be no banning. They said they have an app store that is not going to ban any apps because, you know, like people like Parler and you know, when the iPhone was banning them and things like that, it's supposed to be a Freedom Phone. But this well, you have an app store that lets anything goes in. You're just asking for all kinds of ransomware to come in there.
Yo, I haven't even read the article and I already knew right off the top of my head ransomware. Like, your phone is gonna be so hacked. Oh my God, it's gonna be glorious.
Yeah, and then he mentions like he's trying to make money on Republicans because he mentions like if they are able to ban the president of the United States, you know, who are you, or kind of something along those lines. Yeah. But this dude is also talk about Freedom Phone. It's a phone. I looked it up. What it looks like an Archer phone with an Arcos phone, off brand. So you just white label some phone that's made in China. Already, you know what can it be in there?
He buckled off Soldier Boy.
That's it. It's a wrap.
And then he's tweeting from his iPhone. So he doesn't even have a Freedom Phone himself.
Wow.
That is great.
That's
his Freedom Phone was probably like completely owned.
I'm telling you, we need some kind of, you know, Big Neat keep telling he's dying to make some money of these Republicans, man. Yeah. They just so gullible.
Super gullible. Look at how much money Trump making off of these guys.
I mean, and that's the thing we didn't mention with that lawsuit. He ain't gonna win that lawsuit on social media, but he'll put that on his emails and tell people help donate to my campaign to help me fight, blah, blah, blah. And he's making a ton of money off of them.
You know what? Let him. Those people aren't in a position to give him tons and tons of their money. If they're taking food off the table for their kids to donate to the Donald Trump Legal Fund, if they do that, that's their problem. And
if you remember from before when he was doing it for that campaign, allegedly to fight the election cases, they put, you know, real fine print. They were saying like, we're gonna divert this money. We have
Did his CFO just get arrested?
And they were putting in recurring donations. So they they were getting recurring withdrawals from the bank accounts. And some people were like, I gave them $100. All of a sudden, $1,000 came off from my account, $100 a week or something like that.
Yes, they got caught up. All right, let me we gonna move on to my public service announcement. The People's Gauntlet is officially launching the first gauntlet. By the way, Felipe, I'm getting you caught up. The first gauntlet is going to be Armani Oakley. By the way, did you know that Armani's running?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so Armani has officially launched her campaign since last Monday, I believe.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I'm super excited for Armani Oakley, District 10. And she's going to be the first person. The first gauntlet is launching tomorrow. We're going to release that. Here's the website. And we're going to get this thing rolling. I did an interview with Status Quo. I did an interview with Heartlands Media. I did an interview with Jen Perlman. Yeah, and so and I'm hoping to get on other people's show as I do a tour promoting the People's Gauntlet. I already had one person DM me, but unfortunately he was at the state level, like he's running for state representative, which is fine. I said he could still do it, but this is mainly and that probably down the line at some point, if this becomes, and hopefully it becomes a brand and it blows up more, then we'll have different levels. We'll have the federal level, state level, et cetera, et cetera. So, but as of right now, we're focused on the national, and yeah, we're gonna get this thing started. And then the next thing is Medicare for All, March for Medicare for All, July 24th. This is something big on Twitter. I don't know if anybody here knows about this, but there's a place near you. There's one in Newark. There's one in, I think I'm going to the Newark, New Jersey. I'll see if I could go. Hopefully, I gotta work, but I'll see if I could go. And then there's one in New York for Izzy. And I don't know if Carlito, has you been following this?
No, I saw a couple of tweets, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna have one in Atlanta. But I haven't been following. Yeah,
let me see if I click on the March. But they have one almost every. I'm so happy for this endeavor and this initiative. This is what we need, right? We always look to Bernie and try to get one person in office to save everything. But no, we at the grassroots, we got to put in our work. And this is something. See, find an action near you. And I don't care where you could be anywhere in the United States and you could find, look at all these different places. You're going to be able to find a place near you. So definitely try to go to this website, m4mforall.org. Try to find out a place near you, represent, show yourself on Twitter, on Instagram, any of the social medias before they ban you from being able to do it. And then, all right, yeah. So have fun with that one. Anybody have anything to say about this before I move on?
Go if you can.
Go if you can. All right. So let me show a quick clip. This joint is crazy. This is for my man Izzy.
Right now, both the U.S. and Europe are dealing with devastation triggered by extreme weather. In the U.S., Oregon officials are telling more families to get ready to evacuate because the bootleg fire has exploded to more than 300,000 acres. Look at this map. Severe heat, dry conditions are now fueling 80 large wildfires across 13 states. CNN's Dan Simon joins us now from just south of Lake Tahoe in California near the Tamarack fire. What do we know about the containment there, if any? Dan.
Well, hi, Victor and Allison. This fire south of Lake Tahoe, at this point, it's 0% contained, but it's indicative of the fires that you're seeing all throughout the West. It's being driven by dry fuel and lots of oppressive heat. This is one of the homes that's been destroyed. Fortunately, not too many, just a handful. But this fire broke out on the 4th of July, and it was basically being monitored by fire officials.
We get the idea. Just continuously, every week, we hear about extreme weather conditions. And I don't hear it always linked to climate change, but we know. At this point, we all know with the promotion, and I got to give credit to AOC with bringing Green New Deal and putting it on the map. Now, it's undeniable. You don't even have to bring up climate change at this point. You just know where it's coming from. Am I right or wrong? I think we
you
still
look at every single chart that shows the dramatic increase in global temperature over the last, couple hundred years. Like it's just very obvious. There's an exponential increase over the last, 10, 20 years. I was just actually in the Pacific Northwest last week. I just got back from there last week. And there, there's wildfires going on everywhere. The oppressive heat wave that they had, that heat dome, as they called it, is something that most people there have never, ever experienced in their entire lives. There have been, weeks over these last couple of years where, the smoke is so bad, they can't even leave their homes. They have to stay in their homes, doors closed, windows closed. They have no AC, and just to protect themselves from the smoke. I mean, this is something that people in that region never had to deal with before to this degree. So there's absolutely no doubt it's human caused. There's always been wildfires on the West. That the forests are built that way. They're built to withstand fires, but nowhere anywhere near the frequency and just the widespread. Just how widespread we're seeing them these days. This is all 100% climate change caused. It's all human caused.
100%. 100%. Yep. All right. Look at this craziness right here. So. I don't know if you guys saw this. I don't know. It looks so. Is this real?
Yeah, it's real.
Look at the cute little killer robot.
That's
Yo.
not old. That's like from like 2 years, 3 years ago.
Really,
maybe?
really.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's CGI, like computer graphics.
No, those Boston Dynamics people, they are very impressive. They are, I mean, they've been working on these robots for many, many years now. And
wasn't there a Google company?
no, Boston, well, I don't know. Boston Dynamics, not that I'm aware of, but maybe.
Well, Google had a company that was doing this, and I think they sold it or spinned it off, maybe because of, you know, they didn't want to be associated with killer machines.
Yeah. But what do you guys think? Like, so I could imagine a world where I've seen this in a movie where these people could be like aides, where they're just helping out old people, or they can be cleaning up your room if they get to that advanced. You know, they're not there yet because these robots will never replace a plumber, for example, like that works with their hands for a while. But should we be worried about these machines turning around and killing us, or do you think we should promote it and so that we can have eventually, like, there might be you know how we're getting close to the internet being a human right, like maybe a robot, every person should have one robot aide at some point down the line. Like, what do you guys think?
Sounds like iRobot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I think it's funny. It's a fun thought to have. It's a silly thought, but I think they're mostly just doing it to advance the furthest peaks of robotics that humans are able to make. And that's, I don't know. Also just to make money because
so I don't think we're in danger of like uprising of the robots against us. But I think before we get to that point where we could have like aids, like you said, or maybe some robots to help with like natural disaster stuff like that, is they're gonna be killer robots. You know, that's how it's gonna be, because you know, we've seen like a lot of times technology for the military, you know, it goes first and then it trickles down to consumer electronics and things like that. So I think that's how it's gonna go.
So I see.
It's only a matter of time before these become militarized. But I mean, seeing a robot. I mean, just seeing a robot walk. I remember the Honda robot that first was like the first bipedal robot that was able to walk and go upstairs and all that. That was a huge advancement for humanity. Like, that's just something very hard to do. And seeing these robots now just dancing, doing the twist. I mean, it is good to see technology advance, but yeah, it's only a matter of time before.
Wait, you know, you can actually buy the Boston Dynamics spot.
Oh yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it's something like $75,000 or so.
Yeah, I think I've seen that you can buy, you can rent it, you know, for certain, you know, like construction site initiatives that you have and all that. Yeah.
I saw cops.
Oh, that's so cool. I don't know. Like, on the one hand, yes, danger to society as a whole, full agreement on there. Murder robots are a bad thing.
Yeah.
Always.
So CMT in the chat said, if computerized cars aren't perfect, why have an AI cop? That is a robot cop or something like that. So she just sees it as a problem.
Yeah.
And Alan said the Google owned Boston Dynamics. So yeah, so I think maybe they I don't know if they sold it off already or whatever, but yeah, I was right there. He also said, wake me up when they dance to trap music. So,
but these
that's another topic I want to talk about, the TikTok.
These robots, I think that in a capitalist world, like, because we live in a majority capitalistic world, that's where I see the problems with these robots. Because yes, if you can make a profit, then whether it's good for humanity or not good for humanity, they're going to be used for that. While in more of a social communist or socialistic type of world, then I would be more hopeful. Oh, I want to hear what Felipe's take on that.
No, I disagree with the premise inherently, like entirely.
Go ahead.
Every example, like empirical example of socialist countries or communist countries, like more social countries, as you're explaining, have very heavily invested primarily in military industrial complex. Like that's like their whole thing.
What are you talking about?
Have you
North Korea,
all of like
Russia?
Scandinavia? What are you talking about, bro?
What? No. He's saying he used the full socialist communist words, like not social democracy. He went full socialism. And those inherent.
You're talking about the ones that have dictators on top. That's the ones you mean, right?
I mean pretty socialism as a whole.
Because you every time somebody brings up a bad example of socialism or communism, it's not democratic socialism or socialism with some kind of where the top is decided through democracy, it's always some kind of pretty much fascist or a totalitarian government. So
they're not, but they're still not socialist countries. They're still social democracies. They still function with capitalism as a whole country. There's no one example of a socialist country running successfully.
Well, there's no example of socialist country that you can name that's bad that isn't also tied to some kind of totalitarian regime.
I understand that.
You don't need to have a totalitarian regime in order to have socialism.
No, you're entirely correct. You're right.
Yeah, because you have to
it's like you get one example, but it's not the full. It's not like the utopian example of a socialist country.
Yo, Case, hit rewind real quick. You started this conversation talking about how every socialist country is tied to some military regime.
Every historical socialist country, yes, like full on like socialist communist country that define themselves as socialist communists.
So wait, yeah, but again, you're talking about totalitarian governments, like Alito said. You're not talking about social democracies like Switzerland, like
Norway,
and like
no,
most
I
of
know.
the Scandinavian countries.
I'm specifically harping on the word choice because calling Scandinavia socialist isn't correct inherently.
It's a social democracy. What would you call it?
Yeah, a social democracy.
All right.
Okay, so then there you go. So
let me be a little bit more specific.
There's no good example of a totalitarian socialist country.
Let me hold on, guys. Let me tell you why I said this, right? Because I would imagine in Norway, because people go straight to Venezuela and Russia and
Iceland.
China. But there's a lot of other countries that are social democracies or lean in that direction. Anyway, because you have jobs, like people still need jobs, right? So if you have these robots, naturally, and this is what Andrew Yang's been harping about, these robots are going to be taking these people's jobs. But in America, I totally see that. This is a capitalistic world, but I would see more of a socialist society. They would have a more humane transfer of, I would say, I'm thinking transfer of power, but transfer of labor. That's a better word. Mm-hmm. That's more humane than what a capitalist system would do. You understand what I'm saying? That's where I'm going with that.
I get that, but you also have to, like, capitalism incentivizes profit to it, like to a very high extent. But what you're saying is that they would advance these robots to take care of labor. Capitalism, literally, like the dream is to make a robot that can do a manufacturing job perfectly.
Exactly. Yeah. That
which
is the
lowers
dream.
Labor, which of course is why UBI is something that people talk about.
Exactly.
A lot.
See, I would love to see.
I do have a point earlier, because you're saying, again, talking about socialism and communism. In socialism, like by definition, the workers have to own the means of production, which by definition makes Norway and Scandinavia not a socialist country.
Yeah, well, not completely necessary. Yeah. We had a long conversation about this back in the days when we were in the stupid WhatsApp. You know, you have the whole Marxist definition, and then from there, kind of, you know, it's like everybody has diluted definitions, but you know, not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily have to be.
I get that, but there needs to be one founding, like, point that makes it different.
But you get the point, the spirit of my argument. That's the main point. We don't need to get into the like countries and how strictly socialist they are. You understand the point. Like in a perfect world, we would be having these robots, and like 50 years from now, we would be living in George Jetson type of world where like people work 2 hours a day, and you have robots farming and robots doing everything, and literally human beings. We live in a life of luxury. Every man a king. Every man, you know, is living a good life because you have robots.
That'd be great.
But that's not happening in a capitalistic world. I'll tell you that right now. That's not happening in a capitalistic world, like, or country in America.
That's like saying, oh, if my dream came true, and there was no more labor and everyone is happy, everything would be perfect. Like that's not.
I'm just saying.
Let's see. In a capitalist society, you could have. You know, you said these robots will take care of labor. They will replace the employees, but then how do you take care of the people? In a capitalist society, those companies that are making more profits, they will not
They
trickle
keep the
down
money.
or
Exactly.
pay
No, no, no.
taxes
And I'm
or pay
completely
taxes in order to take care of the displaced workers.
exactly.
It's
And
already
that's
happening.
why I believe that the increased independence of these machines should also come with UBI. This is the main argument that Andrew Yang had about anything ever. This is actually his only one position out of both of the campaigns he ran.
That he was wrong on also because of his UBI, he also was taken away from social welfare to pay for it. So
exactly. But in theory, it kind of makes sense that if low end, low wage labor is taken over by like essentially perfect labor robots, then UBI absolutely makes sense so that everyone has the same means to live as everyone else and can grow from there.
Right. So, but by definition, you'll never have that with capitalism because you have those companies with their fiduciary duties.
Yeah, but there's raw capitalism with no restraint doesn't exist in America.
Oh no, because even the capitalism we have now, they use their power to control the government. So it's still not. It's not. There's no such thing as a invisible hand of the free market. It's a real hand of corporations.
Yeah. They're monopolizing, using their power to create monopolies and all that stuff. Anyway, we got to get to the Cuba talk. So if anybody has any last words on this, let's move on to this segment. We got like 6 minutes left. So let's start up the Cuba conversation with this clip.
There's a suggestion that the progressive wing of the Democratic Party is keeping this administration back from doing more to help the people we saw on the streets 10 days ago. Here's a quote from AOC from last week. We must name the U.S. contribution to Cuban suffering. The U.S. contribution, which is our 60-year-old embargo, on it goes. Black Lives Matter, another one from last Wednesday. Black Lives Matter condemns the U.S. federal government's inhumane treatment of Cubans and urges it to immediately lift the economic embargo. Are they on point or have they missed the message, Maximo?
That is strictly the communist philosophy. Make sure you blame somebody else, especially the Americas, United States of America, for whatever problems they have created. Listen, it is not the embargo who prevents Cubans from being free. It is not the embargo who prevents, as somebody have said before, the fishermen from selling their fish or the farmers from selling their products. It is not the embargo who prevents the people for having a small business. It is not the embargo that is the reason for this. It is communism, it's the oppression. It is the people who honestly believe in the lies that they promised them when they're taking over. They call themselves socialists because they are communists. Socialism is communism. And it has failed in every country where they have practiced that. And now we are seeing, after 60 years, the results of communism, the results of the lies that we're going to promise you, and as I've said before, and everybody has heard before, we're going to give you free education, we're going to give you free health care, we're going to give you everything free, when in fact, all they want is power.
Right. So let me give it to the panel.
All you need to do is listen to what these people are chanting to know what their point is. These people are chanting freedom. They're chanting libertad. They're writing on their cars, peace and liberty. They're not writing free trade with Cuba. They're not writing, send us food or money. The embargo that the US has with Cuba does not restrict the trade of food and medicine with Cuba. It's a decades old embargo that, yes, is coming to a head because of COVID, but that's not what the people are upset about.
I heard that they can't get the materials because they made their own vaccine and they can't get the materials to continue to make it because of the embargo, I heard.
Probably, yeah. But that's because problem, there's an embargo that exists because they treat their citizens bad.
So do you think we should have the embargo or no? Because this is an interesting take that I didn't expect to hear this today.
I don't necessarily believe that they should keep
this is my beef.
On one hand, the
Felipe,
embargo is objectively
This is my beef real quick, Felipe. Like, you have all these Fox News and Republican critics that say that communism fails and socialism fails, but they don't allow it to even give it a chance. It's like if you're running a race, a marathon, and they shoot you in the leg, that's the embargo. They're shooting you in the leg, and then they're letting America just run scot-free.
I'm gonna fight against this so hard.
Go ahead.
I live in Miami. I'm around this a lot, and if you talk to any family, anyone who actually immigrated from Cuba, they will tell you the things that they lived through. They will tell you the things that they powered through and the things that they escaped. Every single one of them escaped to the United States because they were leaving authoritarianism, they were leaving communism.
No,
That's
no,
the
no, not every single one. No.
no, okay, not every single one. Some came for prosperity reasons.
No, a
But-
lot of them came because they were the upper class. They were the rich people that were taking advantage of the lower class in Cuba. And when Castro took over, they couldn't get away with their shenanigans, so they left.
That's, I mean, yes, to some extent, but the Cubans that I encounter.
But what that has to do with the embargo, Felipe? What does have to do with the embargo?
It's long-winded point. I apologize.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm
The
sorry.
embargo.
Welcome back.
The embargo has gone
Yo,
on.
Neat, this is
No,
this
no,
is what you've been waiting for this whole time, Neat?
no, there is a point that ends this. The embargo has gone on for 60 years, and the biggest drop that was seen in the currency of the Cuban, like in the Cuban currency, was when they decided to get rid of or go to the dual currency system. If you look, that's exactly what caused this newest economic downtrend.
So listen, this is like
I lost the point, man.
a Republican thing. Like, you see how Republicans always say the government is bad, the government is horrible for you, you got to shrink it. Then go in there, they made the government bad themselves, and then they say, see, I told you it was bad, and run on that.
Exactly.
So Cuba, not that I agree with everything that the government in Cuba
Exactly.
does, but it was never given a chance to actually do its own thing, because the U.S. didn't want to. They did. First of all, they wanted to limit the influence of USSR in these other countries, so they got involved. They, and you know from the history of the United States that any country that even dared to have their own system of government that wasn't friendly towards American corporations, they went in there and tried to take it over.
Exactly.
We talked before about trying to kill Castro with a cigar and all kinds of stuff.
Yes, but
So Cuba never had a chance to actually implement their utopia. Not that it would work. I'm not saying that it would even work, but with all the embargoes and all the attempts to overthrow the government and all the murder plots, they never had a chance.
I mean, sure, maybe, but also
Definitely.
there was demonstrable evidence that it was going in a bad direction.
So wait, what's the point of embargoing Cuba, Felipe? What's the point?
Because the United States has a position against treating your citizens poorly through an unfair system.
No, it's not. No, it's not, because they're fine with citizens in places treating them like getting.
Do we have an embargo with Venezuela?
If they're friendly to the U.S. policies.
Yeah. Do we have an embargo with Venezuela? One of the
We have an
closest
embargo with
oil-rich
Saudi Arabia,
countries.
with Qatar, with any of these places. No.
Good point. That's
What's
an
more
excellent
impressive
point.
than these countries?
That's an excellent point.
That's like beyond the point, though.
No,
What I'm arguing
exactly
is
the
that
point.
Exactly.
You could be as oppressive as you can to your government, to your people, as long as you're friendly to the U.S. They'll let you. That's what it is.
Felipe, your response.
Look, I'm gonna need to do more research on this.
Pepperoni calzone.
No,
Generally,
I
I
don't
don't
think
like
so.
to say that, but I do.
No, I don't think it's hard, Felipe. I think it's like, let's look at the very basics. I think there's research to be done, but I'm talking about an embargo is basically you're suppressing the citizens of that country. You're hurting the citizens of that country, hoping that they would rally together and overthrow their dictator government, right? But the principle of
the point of embargoes and that sort of thing is to pressure the government into being more favorable and negotiable with you, the country issuing the embargo.
by doing what?
Citizens.
Exactly. How do they do that? What's an example of an embargo? So, for example,
We don't trade with Cuba, except for food and medicine.
Exactly, which is a huge deal because they can't get certain goods, and they can't. And then we also sanction, which means we put pressure on other countries not to do the same thing.
No,
right?
No, that's wrong. The United States is the only country that has sanctions on Cuba. Cuba can trade with the rest of the world.
Okay. I got. See, that's where I got to do research. That's where I would have to do research. Okay, I think we're good.
I'm not even sure about the
no one else
medicine
wants
part.
to help out Cuba then?
What happened? Sorry.
Like no one else wants to help Cuba then?
I mean, there's help to give Cuba, and frankly, I believe that Joe Biden should support the protesters and should give them the knowledge that he supports their freedom of speech.
How should they support? How should he support them? Because one of the things that I heard from Republicans on Fox News is that they should, start a little war going on. Maybe send some killer robots, some dancing robots over there.
Dancing robots.
All right. We're gonna wrap it up here. I love to talk. This is why we need some Felipe in our lives.
Before you wrap it up, I do want to.
We gotta have the other side of these conversations. But go ahead, Felipe. Go ahead.
If the U.S. were to lift their embargo and Cuba's bad economic policy were to keep the citizens in the same position as they are now, how else would the United States punish the U.S. government into trying to help their citizens more?
I don't think that's our job.
What if the U.S. fixed their own thing here? We got people suffering here.
That's not our job.
The U.S. is just closing doors. They're not actively working against them.
Yeah, they're not allowing companies and other commerce to go and leaving the U.S. over there. I can't fly to Cuba to do anything. I gotta go to Canada to go there.
And also that's what our Secretary of State is for, to do things through diplomatic means, over the table, not clandestine ways of the CIA trying to overthrow their government. We should, even if that is the case, let's say that America's job is to try to, help those people, which, I wouldn't be against necessarily,
I am going to stop talking about this because I don't want to say things that are just directly wrong, very obviously wrong, but I would like to read more about this because I don't.
Okay.
I do agree with you, Felipe. There's no system that's perfect, and the people over there have legitimate gripes. So I'm not gonna downplay that. I'm just saying that some of the things that the U.S. has done has made it worse.
Yo, let me throw out my theory, right?
Get that, I think that's the wrong avenue to take on this. I think the people who should be being heard the most, people on the ground, who are demanding things.
Okay.
All right. So
every straw man around this has nothing to do with the people there.
Yeah, but that's not the people that go on the talk shows.
So let me make this last point real quick, and then we will give some love to the chat. There's a lot of people saying good stuff, so we'll read those comments. But I just finished reading The Devil's Chessboard, and it's about Allen Dulles and the rise of his part in creating the CIA. And Allen Dulles was the director of the CIA for many years, since the Cold War, since World War II. He wasn't the first, but he was the second. But anyway, he was connected directly with Wall Street. So that's where the CIA's connection with corporations and doing their bidding comes, because he was connected to Wall Street directly. And they would literally say to him, hey, why this prime minister is giving us trouble. Why don't you assassinate him? And they used to say jokingly, but then he would actually go into yeah, we could do this and this and this. And then it turns out that's what he was actually doing. That's how the philosophy of America overthrowing regimes just for corporations came about, because this guy Allen Dulles. And so with Cuba, we had Guatemala, I think Chile. We did a lot of coups d'etats in countries that were experimenting with giving more rights to the citizens and socialism, divvying land to the citizens instead of to the United Fruit Corporation, for example, was a corporation that was taking advantage, right? And we would go in there and overthrow the country and put in dictators. Two people saw that and decided they weren't going to do it in their country. Castro and the other guy that died, you all see his face on t-shirts. I can't think of his name. I think it's
talking about Che.
Che, yeah, Che. He was in one of those countries when the coup happened, and he was like, I'm not going to let it happen in Cuba. And also the guy that died from Venezuela, Hugo Chavez? Chavez, yeah. They were in these countries when they saw what happened with the CIA came, and they decided, you know what, we're not going to be soft and allow the CIA. And what I mean by soft was one of these presidents that got overthrown. They came to him and said, the citizens, we should give them guns so that they can rise up against the military coup. Because it's always like the CIA comes pays off somebody in the military and they do a military coup. They were saying give guns to the citizens so that they could surround the capital and they could become a military force. And the president was kind of soft and he was saying, no, we're going to do this the right way, He got overthrown. So Hugo Chavez, Fidel Castro, ain't happening here. And unfortunately they went about it, and I condemn it, and I don't endorse the way I'm sure they killed people and did a lot of things, but if you see the example of why, and matter of fact, unfortunately, those are the only countries that actually survive to a certain extent or stay in power longer than these softer leaders that just let the CIA come in there and do what they will. But go ahead, Felipe.
Again, I would need to do more research, but I'm pretty sure the countries that existed the way that they did because El Che and Castro set them up in that certain way.
Of course, I agree. Yeah.
No, so they knew full well what the end of the day would look like going down this route.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. But the question is were the people better off? So the literacy rate in Cuba is 90 and up.
You can
before they had Batista was the leader. Batista was the leader before that, and I'm sure it was a lot lower. But anyway, I hope I'm not boring people with this whole conversation.
One comment from the chat, Rafael Rodriguez said, when you introduce ideas, share knowledge, open up the internet, you will see minds will change within Cuba.
I wanted to comment on that. Opening the internet is actually something that the United States can do to help Cuba, because we have technology to be able to give them internet without necessarily doing it maliciously, like against the government. Because the Cuban government has turned off the internet in a lot of the country.
I don't know, man.
E. Heller said most of my knowledge of Cuba comes from Godfather movies.
Comes from my Cuban, the guy next to my barber who's Cuban and talks about back in the day in Cuba.
Shout out to E. Heller. Yeah, I'm on camera today. We needed some faces on camera, so I said, hey, let me do my premiere. Much love to you, E. Heller. Always on Harlan's Media. Shout out to my people over there too. What else we got? As we end the show. But anyway, shout out to Chris, PJ Neat, Rafael Rodriguez, PJ, you're a PJ too, because Ralph is always in the chat. E. Heller, what else we got here? Shout out to everybody. Much love. I hope you had fun. We back, baby. See you next Monday, 8 o'clock. And People's Gauntlet dropping tomorrow. Support Nina Turner. She's in the fight of her life with the establishment ganging up on her, so we can't leave her out in the dry, hanging to dry. I like she had a very good ad that Rational National highlighted. Man. You saw that? I'm liking
it. I would love a little bit more heat, but I like that when they go low, you step on them. You don't.
Yeah. So we're gonna see what happens with her. People who are in her district, you can vote right now, and I'm hoping that she gets through the elections and hope she wins. So we'll see what happens. So, any last words before we head out?
Man, I want to talk about TikTok, but we could just support the your black TikTokers, man.
Yeah, what's going on with that,
Carlito? They ain't strike, but
yeah, my wife told me that they on strike too for making any content, and they left everybody else to make content, and they were not doing a good job at all.
So so let me since you brought it up,
I brought it up real quick. Yeah, go ahead.
I shared a video a while ago from I think it was Roland Martin, and where they were showing this TikToker. Every time they have, I don't have TikTok, even though my dance moves are on point, but I'm not on TikTok. But they have some kind of way to you could put tag like phrases or whatever for search purposes and also for monetization. And whenever you put like black something, BL, anything like that, they don't let you upload. Even though you could put like white supremacist and they let you upload it. But if you put black man or black power or black anything with black in it, they didn't let you put it on. So they were like, yo, what's going on? This is like straight up racist. pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, fast forward to that a little bit. Jimmy Fallon, he brought this Addison Rae on TikTok to do all the dances from TikTok that she got famous for.
Yeah.
They were all invented by somebody else,
Oh,
mostly
wow.
Black people.
Okay.
And they weren't, you know, so basically all the Black TikTokers are saying, yo, we're making all this content. Somebody else steals them. They put them up. They're the ones that are getting famous, getting money, getting advertisement, brands, deals, all kinds of stuff. So they're like, we're going on strike. And now it's hilarious because first of all, no dancers are coming out. And if they come out, they're whack ass. So it's like, yo, it's like the story. I mean, in the real, if you look at any kind of popular culture in the US, is basically made by Black people, man.
It's been that way for decades, many decades.
Rock and roll on.
Undeniably.
Yeah, but interesting. All right. I want to see a general strike. Like, I want to see everybody.
But that's kind of what they're doing.
Yeah, that's what
TikTok
it seems
only.
like. Yeah, for TikTok. So it'll be interesting to see if this continues on or whatever. But interesting.
All right, so everybody get the hell off of TikTok then.
Yo,
social media
the Chinese people own TikTok, right? Or did they sell it to somebody in the United States? I think I heard about that, right?
I don't think it ever sold.
It never sold
under
Trump.
No, I think Microsoft never ended up buying it.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, the one thing somebody was advertising was a site called Fanbase. I don't know anything about that either, other than the name, but it's supposedly a way for people to like monetize their own content instead of just, you know, whatever's happening with TikTok, and it's supposed to be more supportive of minorities on there.
All right. You could been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. I appreciate that. We got Carlito, Izzy, Benon, Felipe, your man Case, and see you again next week. People's Gauntlet tomorrow dropping. Much love to everybody in the chat. See y'all next week.
Yo, see you on Discord.
Yeah. Let me show our end scene real quick. Some music. Pedro Hernandez and Nancy Ventura. Big things coming from CaseStudyQB.com. Is nothing's there right now, but we're going to be coming up with something special for you guys to interact with the show. So look out for that coming soon. All right, everybody.